I love involving students in our sustainability projects at Broward College, and our native landscaping has been a tremendous part of the student involvement in sustainability on our campus and actually college-wide. The students are very proud of their work on campus. It's their legacy. I've had students come back years later and say, "The area I planted is all blooming, Dr. Green," and they're very proud of what they have done and what they have added. We have worked on landscaping around our buildings, removing some non-native and adding native vegetation, adding native plants, and creating beautiful areas that attract native wildlife and that provide for a healthier campus environment because the native plants do not require pesticides, they don't require fertilizer, and they require very little watering, if any. So it's a low-maintenance landscape once it is established. The organic vegetable garden and part of the butterfly garden that we established that attract our native butterflies. And we tried to put these in places that were very visible to the students. And the students really appreciate, I think, the value of growing their own food without the use of pesticides and fertilizers, using compost, and really get into the whole essence of sustainable agriculture. The area that we're in here is one of the first that we worked on. It's an interior garden in Building 57, where we planted many air plants and ferns. This is a view of the wetlands that was started back in 1998, when we had to build a retention pond. And instead of just digging a hole, we actually created littoral shelves, gently sloping sides, and planted all native vegetation along the edges of the lake, similar to what you would find in a natural lake. And these plants are very important because they filter the water, in this case running off from the parking lots. And so it creates a clean environment for wildlife and a beautiful area for students to study a natural wetland. All of the planting around our wetland project is all native vegetation, providing a wonderful service for our campus to store water, prevent flooding, as well as filter the water and create a habitat for wildlife and a study area for our students. Students have enjoyed monitoring the water quality, and we've noted that over the last 15 years that we've been monitoring the water, that the water quality has stayed very stable. The wetland is doing its job. This is the hammock, which was planted back in 2005 using help from some elementary school students. And I'm demonstrating how the bottom side of the beautiful satin leaf is copper colored and the top is a shiny green leaf. And it's a beautiful native plant. Hammock is where we've planted a tree, a live oak tree, in honor of President Armstrong, who's been a great supporter of our sustainability project. This is our wildflower, one of our wildflower beds. In 2005, I believe it was, I applied for a grant from the Florida Wildlife Foundation for an educational wildflower project. And one aspect of it was to plant wildflower beds on our campus. There were many other parts to the project that involved making seed packets, going out into the community, going to community events, educating about wildflowers, making pamphlets about wildflowers. This is one of the water retention projects that my honor students have built. Rain barrels on each side of Building 57, which we collect rainwater from the roof and use it to water the vegetable garden and other areas as needed. We have tried to put up signs so that people walking along in these areas can identify the various beautiful native plants. The live oak, the slash pine, two beautiful native plants that like it a little drier. They're not right at the water's edge, they're a little bit higher, are two very beautiful plants that are often used in landscaping. This is another water retention called a rain garden, in which plants that love water are planted in a sloping area where the water tends to drain and collect. They help absorb the water, thereby releasing it slowly into the ground where it goes down into the aquifer instead of going into the storm drain and being lost. It's a very newly planted project, but eventually will be full of blossoming, blooming flowers. North Campus used to be a pine flatwoods before our campus was built and paved and the buildings put on. So we have planted in our parking lot areas trees typically found in this location, namely slash pines and sable palms and saw palmetto. We've also begun investing in many sustainable projects such as the solar carts, solar-powered golf carts that students use for student projects, and they're studying the efficiency of the solar carts. And if it proves to be economically feasible, to possibly replace our current fleet of gas-powered carts with the more sustainable solar-powered carts. We've also replaced a lot of the power going to our traffic control devices and some of the lighting in the parking lot to solar. We were awarded the designation of a backyard wildlife habitat by the National Wildlife Federation. We've also been named a naturescape site. We were the first college in the county to be named by Broward County with this honor. It's a very endangered ecosystem. I'm pointing out some of the features of the mastic tree, particularly the wavy leaves that help identify that particular tree. I love to teach students about how they can tell one tree from the other and different characteristics as far as the type of seeds they produce and the leaves and how they feel and how they smell and so on. Along with the wildflowers, we've planted some beautiful grasses that add to the beauty of the wildflower garden, especially when the wildflowers are not blooming. That particular grass is called muley grass and has these beautiful plumes of pink. Involving the students in transforming our campus has been such a pleasure, and especially to see the joy that they feel with making such a contribution, really making a difference that they can see in the real world. They're not just talking about sustainability, they're acting in a sustainable way, and it's a joy to see and to